In our corporate lives, there are a lot of pluses and minuses that we've experienced over years of working in an organization. Some we hate and some we love. Travel, however, is one of the components that most of us do love about the corporate life. And why not? Because the company is paying for it, right? And travel is one experience in our lives that helps us grow as a professional as well as an individual. Because it is the travel experiences that really count in our lives. They teach us a lot as humans, as corporates. But the process involved in this whole travel, the corporate travel, is something which most of us just hate. We just simply hate it. And when I say process, I'm referring to the approvals that we have to seek internally before we take a travel. Now, it could be a domestic travel, it could be an international travel, and at times it could be a local travel, right? The process is extremely tough. If I have to request for an approval from my manager or from my line of business head, the process is very monotonous. It is cumbersome, and there are a lot of steps involved before I get an approval. Once I have the approvals in place, it's again difficult to book my itinerary. The multiple to and fro's between me and my travel desk, then getting my itinerary in place, and then stepping out of my house or my office to get on to corporate travel. Even the entire journey, if I have to take a cab, if I have to eat outside, if I have to take my client out for a meal, or even my internal stakeholders out for a dinner, it's extremely tough. Because there is somewhere in a mind a scare that we have. Am I spending within my eligibility criteria or not? One. Am I supposed to make this spend on the behalf of the company or not? Two. By when will I get this money back? Right? I might enjoy the dinner with a client, but there's a fear, I should not lose the bill or the receipt. And I should, whether I'm eligible, to expense out maybe 10,000 for a dinner or not. I'm not sure. And when do I get the money back? Unfortunately, most of the organizations today do not have very friendly systems to ensure that the employee gets back their money and well in time. One is getting back the money, and the second is the timeline. When I meet a lot of CXOs in organizations, when I talk to a lot of customers, I've come across instances where they've said, we take about 30 days or even 40 days to give back this money to the employee after they file the claims. Now, this is, if you really ask me, a ridiculous process. Because one, as a company, we're using employees' money to fund our daily basis cash flows, which is good for the organization, maybe, but not a great thing for an employee. So it's the duty of any organization to ensure that the employee gets their money back well in time. This is what we at SAP Concur do it for you. And it's a very simple process that we follow. Even when I was getting out of my house, or rather when I thought of attending this event in Jaipur, and I'm based out of Gurgaon. Now, right from getting an approval in place, to booking my flight, to booking my hotels, to booking that Uber while I was on my way, I had to go to the airport from my house, or taking an Uber from the Jaipur airport to the hotel. It was all simple for me. And simple why? For a reason. There are various sources today, and I'll come back to the reason in a short while. There are various sources today where we spend our money, right? Whether it is the ground transportation companies like Ola and Uber, right? We go to some travel portals where we book our flights or hotels. Could be any restaurant or any hotel where we swipe our corporate cards. Could be any kind of source. We are incurring an expense on behalf of the company, right? And it's so important to track the entire trail, and also to have the real-time data with you as an organization to ensure that everything is being spent as per the company policy and in compliance, right? So a lot of sources today where we spend, the spend is all decentralized. There were times where everything was centralized within an organization, but the times that we live in, the new age, the next generation age, and especially with so many millennials in the workforce, everybody needs convenience, experience, and everybody wants things to happen at the speed of light. So it's all decentralized, and it's far more complex than it used to be long back. So that's why we have got a lot of sources today, how we spend money. And unfortunately, most of the organizations do not have one single view of that spend data. So there is not much that you can do as an organization if you have to, take some actions. There is no actionable data or information available to an organization in real time that you can use and take some calls. Now, when I say take some calls, it could be going back to a vendor and renegotiating your hotel tariff rates, maybe, right? Or asking some of the employees that you're spending way too much. Why don't you control yourself? Or there is not even a measure in place where an employee or a manager or LOB head can figure out whether my team or me myself is spending within my budget limits or not, because there's no real-time data available. So that's why it's so important to have the entire trail in place and in one single view. Apart from that, if you see, we've always had a travel and expense claim systems, whether they were manual, homegrown, or any other kind of system in place for ages. We as a country is doing business for ages. And this process of travel expense also exists from decades now. There's nothing new. There's no rocket science involved in it. But because the complexity that is involved today in the environment that we live in, and the experience and the employees want, it's extremely important to have a system or a platform in place where everything is connected, a connected ecosystem, which is extremely important. And what at SAP we have done is we have tied up with a lot of players in the market, whether B2C or a B2B. If I have to book a flight for me or a hotel for me, I need to have tie-ups with those airlines or with the hotels. Or if I take an Ola, Uber, I have to ensure that I have tie-up with those ground transportation companies as well. Or maybe a Starbucks. Or maybe the banking partners, the technology partners like Master, Visa, or Amex. Or banks like ICICI, HDFC, or Axis, or whoever, right? So what SAP has done is at Concur that we have created this large ecosystem for you. A large ecosystem so that you really do not have to bother about spending money and about claiming it back from the company. What typically happens today is, for most of the organizations, once you spend money on company's behalf, you have to keep those receipts intact. And once you're back in your office, you have to scan them and upload them or maybe submit hard copies. And all of that happens, and you have to do a lot of manual entries as well. If you've got some homegrown systems or some other software that you're using, a lot of manual entries have to be done. With SAP Concur, the platform that we've developed is, we've tied up with all of these guys, and this is not limited to this, there are many more, right? The moment I take an Ola or Uber and finish the ride, the transaction automatically flows within the Concur system. I do not have to do anything manually. When I booked my flight for Jaipur from Delhi, and when I booked my hotel, I had to do nothing. I just went to the Concur platform, booked everything for myself, and the entries automatically flew within my system. I had to do nothing manually. Any corporate card transaction that I make today automatically again flows within the Concur system. If I drink a coffee at Starbucks, it again comes back in the system. Anything that I'm doing today on the behalf of the company in terms of employee spends, it's coming back to the system automatically, and I really do not have to manually enter anything. Even if I eat at a restaurant which is not a partner with Concur, I will have a bill. And if I open the Concur app, I just have to click a picture. Once I click a picture, it automatically reads the content and creates an expense line item for you. Again, no manual intervention required. You do not have to manually feed anything in the system. So what is happening is the expense report is writing on its own, and you would not even get to know while you're traveling as a corporate. Right? Now that is the beauty of this platform. Because look, at the end of the day, it's a software. It's a piece of software. Anybody can write codes and you're done with it. But the beauty lies in this ecosystem that we have created for you. And it's a strong ecosystem which is growing every day, every day. In every country, we've gone ahead and tied up with a lot of B2C and B2B players in order to ensure whether you're in India, China, US, European markets, anywhere else, we try and ensure that we tie with the best and as many possible. So what we really call it is as the intelligent spend management system because of factors like these, where it is intelligently capturing data at source and reporting to the organization. Now, one portion of it is about the employees that I spoke about. There's another portion as well about the organization. It might bring a lot of benefits to you as an employee, but what it does for the organization is extremely important as well. For organizations, what it does is the SAP Concur platform gives them a real-time insight into the employee spends as and when they happen. Now, thereby bringing in more transparency, ensuring all the compliances are met, whether internal or external, and you have actionable data or information with you, right? Which is extremely critical, especially for a country like India, which is actually getting in a different zone today, where we're talking about financial discipline, where we're talking about a digitized economy. Technologies like this is a big, big plus for any organization. Fraud, again, happens a lot of times in corporates, knowingly or unknowingly, in this particular domain of travel and expense. If we closely look at any financials of any organization of any size, T&E is usually the second or the third largest component in the financials. And it is also prone to frauds. Again, knowingly, unknowingly. But it is prone to frauds, right? So we do our best with the help of technology, AI, and ML engines to even detect frauds. Somebody submitting 2 bills, a duplicate copy, I do it from Delhi, somebody does it from Bombay, the system can catch it. Right? So you get a ROI as well in terms of fraud detection. There are a lot of other parameters as well where we help you get a good ROI. IDC did a survey for some of our existing customers, and as per the study, 7.3 months is what it takes to get your money back. The payback period is 7.3 months. I haven't seen any customer who said we've not got an ROI, or I have not liked the technology, or my employees hate this technology. A technology like this can be successful if the employees love it and they use the platform to the most of it. And I will quickly get into the demo and show you how the system looks like. We've built up some demo thing for you. Just have a look at it. Before I get into the demo, this is again an important slide. I was talking about real-time insights, right? This is extremely critical. We give you about 120 odd standard reports out of the box where you can actually figure out who are the most, say top 10 spending employees. Who are the employees who violate the policy the most? That is, they're not adhering to the standard travel and expense policy. Who are, if you want to be more stringent, who are the managers who don't even look at the attachments and just approve the expense? Right? Who are my top spending vendors? So it's extremely important to understand where do I spend the most. Suppose if I have a tie with XYZ hotel chain and if I've agreed for a night rate for about, say, 7,000 rupees a night, and if I've given them much more business and committed on the contract, I have all the right to go back to the vendor and ask for a better pricing. Right? So it can also help you indirectly to negotiate better rates from your respective vendors. Now let me get into the system and quickly show you how the system looks like. And this is how the interface is. This is how it looks like. If you look on the right side, the top, there is this orange message button. You can push messages to your employees through this. I'm just trying to familiarize you with the interface first before I get down to this system in detail. On the leftmost, these 3 lines, safety is of utmost importance for us. Unfortunately, it's not the case for a lot of Indian companies. But I think going forward, safety is going to be a big concern for all the organizations, even in India. So you see on the top, it says request safety assistance and check-in location. I can check in my location right now that I'm here in this hotel so that my company gets to know about my movements. It is GDPR compliant, so an employee has to opt for it. Every time, the moment I set this application up in my mobile phone, it asks for my consent. Once I've done that, I can check in myself. I can request for any emergency assistance, especially good for female employees or any employee who's traveling late in the night or to sensitive areas. Let me give you an example of SAP, how we do it. SAP has created security hubs across the globe, right? And any employee who's traveling, whether local, domestic, or international, there are these hubs that track the movement of employees who have opted for, for this functionality. There was a shootout in Las Vegas a couple of years back in the US, and we were able to track down each and every single employee which was around the area within 2 hours of time through Concur. Because either somebody had checked in or asked for assistance, or they would have used an Uber, right? Or would have swiped their corporate card, or would have used any product or a service from one of our partner networks. The moment you do that, everything is being captured in our system, and it's extremely simple for the admin to track the movement of people, and you can go back and get your employees back. Another important thing, and this is something you should all do. On the bottom, you see TripIt. This is another app from Concur. This is something good that you can do to yourself for free if you're a corporate traveler. This app actually helps you track your itinerary. The moment you book any flight or in hotel, it will create an automatic itinerary for you and will keep giving you alerts what time you need to leave from your current location for the airport, or your stay at so-and-so hotel is coming up. It will also tell you what time your flight will depart, what's the gate number, what is the way to the gate, exit gate, what is the way to the lounge. If your flight is getting delayed, it also gives you alerts on those, and many things it can do. So there is a free version available on any of the app stores and the paid version as well. So you must download this TripIt app and do some good for yourself if you're traveling. Let me come back to the main interface now. Trips that you see right up there, when you click on it, you can get all the trips that are upcoming, anything that you're booked on. Expenses, the list of expenses that are flowing within the Concur platform automatically when you do any kind of spend. Expense claims are the expense reports that you have saved or submitted while claiming your money. Approvals, if you're a manager, you get all the requests right here. There's a travel request form, the TRF as we usually call it. If any request is come here for a manager's approval, it will be here. Any expense report that comes from your subordinate will also fall in here. I'll just go into all these tabs quickly. Request is the form that if you click on it, it opens up and you can quickly fill up the request and fill up the form and tell the company what you want. Right? So I want to go from Delhi to Mumbai, I would want a cab service there, I would want a hotel in this vicinity, all of those details can be given here. Or if you're traveling international, you can say I need a visa for so-and-so country. Right? All those details can be given here and can be approved. Budgets is another important aspect which most of us usually ignore. It gives you a view of your own budget. Now, you can have multiple budgets as well. If it is a company which does a lot of projects, you can have project-based budgets, you can have LOB-basis budgets, you've got your own cost centers. The way you want to slice and dice your budgets, you can do that and track them against each and every request that comes to you. Now, let me quickly go to the expense piece. Okay? Now, these are a list of expenses that you see right here. Everything that is being spent by me as an employee is coming right here. Now, it's a demo system. You see those yellow flags? Or orange as are shown here, it's yellow actually. These are the soft flags. If anything is not standard, it will be flagged as yellow. Anything which is completely out of policy and no exceptions can be given will be highlighted as red. Now these flags could be, say, a receipt is missing maybe, right? Or some allocation is missing, or the vendor name is missing. All of that will be captured here. Now, let me go to this one quickly and show you one of the features of AI. If you see this bill, it has a time of 1:47 p.m. The moment I click a picture of this bill, it actually picks up the GL code on its own. Here it picks up lunch, because that time is usually lunch time. Based on the timestamp on the bill, it picks up the right GL code of a lunch or a dinner or a breakfast. Right? So this is the AI engine running behind it called SAP Leonardo. I can quickly submit an expense report as well. I just click on it. I can quickly select few expenses and say move to, and I can just submit the expense report right here. Let me go to the quickly the approvals piece. Now here you see claim approvals, invoice approvals, and request approvals. Invoice approvals I'm not discussing. There is also a module called vendor invoice management. These could be any kind of invoices. We can manage your vendor invoices as well. I'm not touching that, that's out of scope today. The request approvals, this is the request approval that comes up, and I can quickly view the request of each and every employee, and it will have all your corporate policies embedded in it. Now if I go to this one, I can see what my employee has requested for, and there are some yellow flags. Let me go to the A-ticket one quickly. You see a yellow flag that you cannot book travel before 7 days, or the expense occurs during a weekend. Now policies like that can be inbuilt in the system, and you can keep a check on them. I can approve them or send it back. I'll quickly go to the expense report and show you. Now this is the expense report that I've got for approval. Right? It has all the expenses right here. And it also has a message right there. You have exceeded the daily allowance for this individual meal. So a lot of these exceptions can come up for the manager to view. If somebody has submitted a duplicate bill, say for example, if I'm claiming the same expense twice by mistake, a manager will get a notification right here. This has already been approved and claimed by the employee in the past via report number so-and-so, report name so-and-so under GL code so-and-so, and amount so-and-so. All of those details will come up right here on the top. So things like these will happen here. Let me, last thing, show you the budget. This is how you can see the budgets as well. Let me go to the maybe a SE budget. Right? This is how I can see my budgets. You can slice, dice, you can go into deep dive and figure out about your budgets. And even the user interface, if you see, is pretty good. The colors are not that great on this one, maybe. Pretty much, yeah. So I'm pretty much done with it.